Hi, it's Phil from the BandLab Academy, teaching music to the world's digital learners. Welcome to the second episode of the series BandLab for Absolute Beginners. In this video, we're going to take the simple 4-bar riff we created last week and magically transform it into the first part of our song. So we'll go from this to this. Make sure you like and subscribe to ensure you don't miss the next episode. Let's make music! So the skills we're covering in this Absolute Beginners video are: copy and paste a sample, change the grid size, shorten a sample, slice a sample, enhance the track with effects, create stereo effects with panning, and the art of experimentation. Let's get down to it. So here is the first 4 bars I created last week using just the 4 sampled loops. And below that you can see what we're going to do this week, which is extend them to bar 17, which makes it 16 bars long. And the first thing I'm going to do is cut this into 2 halves. So I'm going to work with 8 bars first. So let me just zoom in. And the first thing I want to do here is move the beats. And you can see that I've moved the beat to bar 3. So simply click and hold the mouse and drag it to bar 3. And now I'm going to copy it or extend it by using this loop function here. In the top right corner, this little icon, a circle with an arrow, drag it to bar 9. I've got to move the bass, so I'm going to drag that just off screen, or maybe bar 9. So the effect is the Tera resound coming in on its own, then the beat and the Tera growl sound together. Let's have a listen. Now if you notice, if I click on bar 3, what I've done here is actually move this sample 2 clicks to the left. And the effect of this is to bring it in slightly early, filling in this gap. And I just experimented with this and liked the effect. And one of the skills I want you to consider is experimentation. So what I'm doing here is just a suggestion how to work. But take these ideas and make them your own. In other words, experiment with whatever sounds you're using and whatever skills you've already learned on BandLab, experiment using them and see where you go with them. That's really important. Now before I move this, I want to show you something. If I drag it now, I can move it very carefully in between these lines. And the trouble with this is I can get it in the wrong place. And if I get it in the wrong place, it sounds out of time. So here's where changing the view or the grid size is important. Make sure your green magnet is on so that a sample, when you move it, will sort of click in like a magnet into the right place. Grid size by default is set to smart, and as you saw, that means I can move it really imperceptibly. Great for when we want to do some careful editing, but not so useful when we want to get the timing really on point. So grid size I'm going to change in this instant to 1/8. And what this means is the bar, each bar from 1 to 2 is divided into 8 segments. And what I did down here is move this terror growl 2 segments to the left. 1, 2. And I get this effect. Let's rewind. And I like that because it comes just after this sound. So if I click there where it comes in, this green sound, the terror Reese, has ended, and I'm putting in this sound that builds up. It's like a backwards sound, and it comes in just before the beats. So the effect for me is to sort of slide into the beat. Let's hear that again. The next thing I want to do is copy and paste this green terror Reese loop sample, and if you can see on the one I've done here, it comes in exactly on bar 5. But this time I'm not going to use the way I copied the drums using that function because I want some space here. So what I need to do is right click and copy, or Control and C, and then there's my cursor at bar 5, right click, paste, and I could do Control V on the QWERTY keyboard. Let's have a listen from the beginning. And now I want to do the same with the glitch hop terror growl. In other words, copy it, and I'm going to put it onto bar 7. And you'll see what I'm doing is having the terror Reese coming in first, and then followed by the terror growl, then the terror Reese, and then the terror growl. So click on that, select it, Control C, or copy. Make sure my marker, my cursor, is on bar 7, and then paste. And in it goes. So that's my first 8 bars. Let's have a listen. Good so far. Now I'm going to press the zoom function and I can see the bigger screen, the bigger picture. So let's have a quick look. You can see on the drum beat here, I've actually made it shorter. And the reason I've made it shorter is to create an effect of just having that silence. And you'll hear the effect of what this sounds like in a moment. So there's 2 ways to do this. I can click on the sample that I want to shorten, and I can take the loop and drag it back until there it is. I've got exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clicks, 5/8 of a beat shorter. Let's have a listen to this from the beginning. So now what I'm going to do is copy the drums. So I'm going to click on them, right click, copy. And the drums I want to come back in on bar 9. So now right click and paste. Drums are back in, and I'm going to drag them to bar 17. Like so. You can see here I've brought in the bass for just 2 bars, and then there's silence. In other words, I've taken it out. So up to here I can either drag it back or I can slice it. So I want to slice it there. It's exactly the same effect, but just 2 different ways to do it. So my cursor is on bar 11, and I want to be really accurate with that. And now right click and slice. And what that means is I now have 2 halves of the same sound. So I'm going to delete this half, right click, and delete. Let's have a listen from here. The next thing I've done down here is add the glitch Terra Reese. Let's go back a little bit here, and I'm going to click on any one of these and copy. So it's going to be on this track, the green track, and paste there. There it is. And now the Terra growl is going to go underneath. Right click, copy, click on bar 11 and paste. There it is. These two interesting sounds, the Terra Reese and the Terra growl, were being played one at a time. Firstly this one, then that, then this, then that. But now, for the second half of this 16 bar section, I want them playing together. And the effect is, as you can see, you've got this little sound here coming in first, closely followed by this waveform here, and then this one here, back in the middle where that's silent. And so they're going to go bouncing between the two sounds. So let's go from bar 9. And now I want to bring the glitch hop mobbed bass back in. If I click on here, I'm going to press Control and C, and I wanted it back in at bar 13. Right click, paste, and if you remember, I actually shortened this, but this time I want the whole sound back. So I'm going to go to the bottom right hand corner and drag it all the way to bar 17. By the way, every time you're happy with your work, don't forget to save in the top right corner. Let's have a listen from bar 9. So we've only a couple of things to do now. One is get this glitch hop Reese sound and copy and paste it over here. Now the way I did it was to click on the original sound, and I wanted to slice it. So I've got two parts because I wanted to use the end part, and they're slightly different. So I put my cursor at bar 12 or anywhere in the middle, it doesn't really matter. And once again, right click, slice. So there's now two halves, and the one I want is this. So I'm going to right click again, copy, and I experimented, but I finally decided that it was going to go just there. Control V, there it is, and it'll now sound like this. Let's go from bar 9. The last thing I want to do with the actual sampled loops is to, if you look on here, this drum beat is once again cut so that it stops playing between bar 16 and 17. So to do that, again, I've got two options. First one is to drag back the copied sample to there. And do you remember the second way to do it? Right click, slice. And that just emphasizes the last sound here, which I think is a really interesting sound. So if everything else is out, if it's not playing, then the focus is on this sound. And again, it also for me suggests that something is about to happen in the new section, which we haven't done yet. But we'll be having a look at that next week. So let's go from the beginning and have a listen. Once again, don't treat this as gospel. This is just one idea that I came up with. But the important thing is to remember that you started off with 4 samples over 4 bars in the first video, and then you've just used exactly the same 4 samples and extended it over 16 bars now, and it suddenly becomes an introduction or a start of a song. There's a few more things I'd like to introduce though. I'd like to enhance the sound with the special effects we have within BandLab. To find the effects, you click on the track, so we're going to add them to each track. So I've clicked on the Beats track, and then I go down to the bottom left hand part of the screen and click on Effects. And at the moment there are no effects. And here, where it says none, we've got a whole load of options. And once again, it's really important for you to try them all out. Solo the track and listen to exactly what they do. So to solo a track, we go to the S here, and solo means it's going to be played on its own. I'm going to right click here, and I'm going to set the cycle to selection and play. And it'll just go round and round. I'm going to just shorten it there to just 2 beats. That's all we need. And I'm just going to experiment with a few presets. So let's try Yachty filter. Up come all these effects. Noise gate, graphic EQ, de-esser, tech lab, compressor, chorus and delay. Now don't worry about this. It sounds and it looks complicated. But I just clicked on the Yachty filter preset and these came up. And at this point in this video, I'm not going to change a thing. If you want to, please experiment and have fun. Remember, that's the way you learn. But let's have a listen to the Yachty filter. Okay, let's change it to something else. Distortion Muse. Interesting. Let's try one more. Echo Doubler. So the effects radically change the sound. The one I've chosen is the Hi-Fi Comp. There it is. And you can see that's just one effect, which is a compressor, which will hopefully make the sound a little bit louder and a bit more punchy. For the bass, I've decided upon Hi-Fi Comp as well. So this time, let's have a listen to the bass soloed first of all. And this time we've got to go over here because it doesn't come in until bar 9. So right click again, set cycle to selection and play. Down to the preset, Hi-Fi Comp. Again, it's subtle, but it adds a little bit more bass and a little bit more volume. The next one I use on the Glitch Hop Terrorist, the green track, was the Echo Doubler. So I'm going to go up to this interesting sound one, as I've called it, click on it, and Echo Doubler. So I'm going to click on the track and press S for solo, right click, set cycle to selection. The echo effect makes it sound like it's in a big hall, and the sound is bouncing off the walls of some building. Lastly, I had the sky sound for this blue one. So click on the track, let's solo it. Let's have a listen to it first of all without. Set cycle to selection. Nothing on there. So down to none, down to the preset, and sky sound. A whole load of effects here: gate, compressor, equalizer, chorus, compressor, delay. So 2 compressors. You can do anything you like. Let's just move it to the right. There's more still. Delay, reverb. And you can keep adding effects. Again, we'll come onto that in a later video. Let's have a listen to the sky sound effect. Right click, set cycle to selection and play. It's a reverb, it's a delay, but much shorter. Let's put them all together. So take the solo off. Each of these tracks now has an effect on, and you can see it lists it here: effects, sky sound, echo doubler, Hi-Fi Comp, and Hi-Fi Comp. Rewind to the beginning, take the cycle off. Now the last effect I want to do is not with these here, but it's an effect using panning controls on a whole track. So panning is about moving the sound in the stereo image. So it might be in your left ear or more in your right. It might be extremely in the left and not in the right, or vice versa. And you can see I've got the control here, left and right. And if I move that little dial there, you can see panning goes from 0 to 50, or minus 50 and plus 50. So let me show you what this does. Let's start in the middle, and I can double click and it goes back to 0. Let's use this example here and set cycle to selection and play. Now to the left. Now to the right. Now, you may not hear this if you're listening to it on your mobile phone. It'll be difficult. Put headphones on and then you'll have a dramatic effect. Or if you've got a nice pair of speakers, try it out with those. I'm not going to go to the extreme of panning it plus 50 and completely to the right, because that sounds a little bit odd to me. I'm going to go for about 20. So this one's 20 to the right, and let's go to the green track, and I'm going to do the opposite, minus 20 to the left. So let's have a listen to these two on their own and from the beginning. Left, left, right, right. Now I've deliberately not panned the beats because they generally stay in the middle, and the bass too. So we've got the solid beats in the bass, which sort of the pulse of the song firmly in the middle of the stereo image. But it's nice to have things flying around in your ears, makes it interesting when you're playing the song. I could go a little bit more extreme, I think I might. Maybe to 37, sort of a 9 o'clock if we're thinking about clocks, and that would be 3 o'clock. Let's have a listen to those. I'm going to take off the solo now, so the drums are going to come in. Let's hear the whole 16 bars with all the effects and with the stereo panning. Well, I hope that's been useful and you've learned a few key skills in creating music with BandLab. What I'd love to know is, which skill did you think most effective and useful? Was it copy and pasting a sample? Changing the grid size? Shortening a sample? Slicing a sample? Enhancing the track with effects? Create the stereo effects with panning? Or just having fun experimenting? Let me know in the comments below. Please like and subscribe so you don't miss BandLab for Absolute Beginners number 3. Don't forget, if you want to use the actual track that I created, head over to my BandLab page, Phil Heeley, and look out for number 2, Glitch Hop 16 bars. There you can fork it, which means you can copy it into your BandLab and then look at how it was constructed, use the stuff you want to, and make it your own. Until the next time, keep making music.